Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Leo Lounge. My name is Mark Sheffield. I am the founder and developer of Leo Mind and Body, and I am your host for today. The Leo Lounge is a place where we have honest conversations with people living with chronic illness, disabilities, and mental health conditions. Our goal is to share stories, learn from one another, and remind people that they aren't alone. Today's guest is Grace. Grace, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So, before we talk about migraines, I'd love everyone to get to know you a little more. So, tell us a little about yourself. Who is Grace outside of doctor's appointments?
Yes, so I would say outside my doctor's appointments, I'm a very creative person. I love to do all sorts of things when it comes to creativity, whether it's crocheting, painting. Recently, I've been doing needlework, which is really fun. Also passionate about fashion. That's what I go to school for fashion marketing. So that's definitely an interest point of mine as well. So there is more to me than just my doctor's appointments. There's more personality and hobbies as well.
So, when you're having a good day, what are some of your favorite things to do then?
When I'm having a good day, I really like to be able to spend time with friends. It's hard to spend time with friends when I have a bad headache, so I like to be able to fit that in when I'm feeling well. And being that I live in the city, I also just like to get outside, explore the city when I'm feeling well, try out new things that I'm not able to do on a normal day, and just explore.
So, if your friends were describing you, what do you think they would say?
I think that they would describe me as a caring and empathetic person. I think that having a chronic illness has definitely made me a more caring and empathetic person for others. Being able to really put myself in others' shoes and being able to say, okay, I understand when maybe you are not able to do the things you want to do, you're not feeling your best. I'm really able to put myself in their shoes. So I would say caring and empathetic for sure.
So, your story actually starts much younger than most people might expect. You were only 9 years old when everything began. Can you take us back to that time?
Yes. So when I was 9 years old, I started just getting stomach aches every day. It didn't seem to matter what I ate, what I did. After every meal, I would just have a really bad stomach ache. And it felt very odd. So I went to the doctors and, they ran all kinds of testing. And it took them a while before they diagnosed me, years actually, before they said, okay, you have abdominal migraine. And at first, it was kind of disguised as IBS, which is kind of more of just like an umbrella term. It's not a very like specific diagnosis. So understanding having abdominal migraine did allow me to better treat my symptoms.
So, as you got older, though, your symptoms changed more into traditional migraines. How did that affect your everyday life as a teenager?
So as a teenager, I would definitely say it's difficult, but I wouldn't say my experiences were that different. I would say I had similar experiences, but the way did them just changed. So whether it was hanging out with friends, maybe they would come over to my house instead, where I was in a little bit of a more controlled environment, or I had school accommodations. Um, or I would have to think ahead, maybe I'm going to go somewhere tonight. I need to make sure I have my meds with me. I need to make sure I have a snack with me, all that stuff. So I'd say I still got to experience those teenager things just differently. But at times it did feel isolating. It did feel like, why am I feeling this and everyone else is not feeling this? In a sense, it felt unfair at times. And I think that's something I still struggle with thinking. But as I grow and as I mature more, I realize that there is a lot of people who do feel the same way, and everyone has something. It's just a matter of what their something is. And I'm able to kind of take my chronic illness for what it is and still able to live a good life around it.
It does take a lot of planning. It takes a lot of work, especially when you're a teenager trying to figure out how to deal with chronic illness. It takes a lot of effort to have to coordinate something like that. And it sounds like your friends are very supportive of you.
Yes, I have a great group of friends, especially in high school, so that was really great in the process. I think if I didn't have such a strong group of friends, it would have been a lot more difficult.
So, you've spent many years trying different medications, treatments, and you even had multiple hospitalizations. What has that journey been like?
It's been a frustrating journey, I would say. Trying different things and failing different things, it gets frustrating, but there is glimpses of hope when there's maybe I'm starting a new medication or something starts to work a little bit, if something starts to work a little here, a little there, um, kind of that glimpse of hope still. And overall, it's just been adjusting to a new lifestyle. At this point, my pain is going to be there no matter what, and I just have to accept that. So, um, I've been adjusting to what that means for me and building my life around that. And finding a supportive community online has definitely helped with this process and with this frustrating experience.
I can't imagine how frustrated you are, honestly.
I think we all are.
It's just a frustrating experience as a whole, trying to get the diagnoses, figure out what's going on, and then get the treatment lined up. There always seems to be a roadblock in the way, something that's going to make a scan, a lab result, something that puts a pause on things is what I always seem to find.
Yes, I have similar experiences.
So, one thing that really stood out to me was something you shared. You said you've had a headache every single day for about the last 3 years. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people to even imagine just having a headache for that long. What does an average day look like to you?
So lately, my days have been pretty open. I've been really focusing on my health and getting to a point where I could be better so that I can move on to pursue things like my schooling and my hobbies, things outside of it like that. But right now, I try to, as soon as I wake up, I eat, kind of stay on schedule with my meals. And right after I rest, I would say is that there's like a time period where I'm feeling my best out of the day. And that would be that like mid morning period. So if I have to get something done, I try to fit it in there. And by midday, I get really tired very easily. So I I rest, I take a nap, and again, when I wake up from that nap, if I need to get something done, that's usually an ideal time. I've just rested, I've just eaten something midday. And I think it's really important to fill my time. I try to not just do nothing. So even if I feel like I can't do anything at the moment, maybe I'll do a craft, maybe I'll sit there and crochet or draw or something so that I feel like I accomplished something for the day, even if it's not something too strenuous. And a lot of resting, to be honest, a lot of figuring out what my body needs, doing appointments, trying new things. So that's what my days have been looking like recently.
So, how do you explain chronic migraine to someone who's only experienced an occasional headache?
It's hard to explain because someone who's not going through that pain, I don't think will ever truly understand. But to try to explain it, I would first say it's more than just pain. It's a disorder, a neurological disorder. So it's not just having a headache, which I think is a common misconception. So every daily activity, it's there. You're doing laundry, it's there. You're driving to work, it's there. You're talking with your friends, it's there. So even those small things that you wouldn't think of as being difficult become difficult. And you have to know in the back of your head that it's a possibility that the pain is going to kind of take precedent that day and you're going to have to rest. You're going to have to take care of yourself first. So I would say that's what trying to explain a chronic migraine would be like. But again, I think if you haven't experienced it yourself, it's really hard to truly understand what those other people are feeling, but it definitely starts with education.
Education is so important. with any chronic illness with migraines, it's one of the key pillars of just getting awareness to people and getting them to learn what's actually going on in the world with, people's health.
Yeah, there's a lot of miseducation out there, people saying different things. "Oh, it's this, it's this. People just need to do this." And I think especially with the growth of, social media and everything, a lot of misconceptions get spread that way.
So living with constant pain, though, can be really physically exhausting. It can also be really emotionally exhausting. How do you take care of your mental health during difficult stretches?
Well, to start, I do go to therapy, which I think is important, especially for people with chronic illness, just for someone to talk to, vent to, be able to maybe have some tools in your back pocket for when things get overwhelming. So I'm definitely an advocate for that. But other than that, there are some things that I incorporate into my life or do when I feel at lower moments with my mental health. Sometimes, if I'm not able to get out of the house and I really feel like I can't do anything, I'll have my friends visit me, even if it's just watching a show or a movie. It feels good to surround yourself with other people. That being said, the same thing with my family. I try not to spend too much time alone because you kind of just get into those darker thoughts, and it helps to just be around others who support you and love you. And as I've mentioned, I'm a creative person, and it definitely helps to have an outlet that way and just something to do with your hands.
And it's also a way to express yourself artistically,
Mhm.
the way you're feeling, your emotions, your thoughts. So, has living with chronic migraine changed how you define a good day?
You know, not really. I would say my good days are more defined about doing the things that I love and less on a pain scale. Being that I have chronic pain, the pain is going to be there no matter what, no matter whether I decide to lie in bed that day or whether I decide to have a big day out. So I think a good day for me is more defined by doing little things or big things that I love, whether it's being with family or friends, maybe getting my favorite drink, doing a project, going outside. Because even if my pain is worse and I could still fit those things in, I think I would still define that as a good day.
If someone listening has recently been diagnosed with chronic migraines, what's something you wish someone had told you earlier?
I tell them not to be afraid to ask for help. I think this is something I'm still working on as well. I think asking for help just a sign of bravery and that you need maybe a little extra support, whether it's accommodations or maybe some time off school, which I have recently done myself and have found helpful to be on my health journey and be able to take care of myself first. It's not a shameful thing. It's just letting others know that you could use a little extra support at that time.
And healing is not linear. Everybody takes their own paths, and
Exactly.
I think that's so important to remember for everyone.
I think it's a hard one to learn, but it's important.
So, what's one misconception about migraines that you wish people understood?
I think one misconception about migraines is that it's just a headache, which it's not. As I've said before, it's a neurological disorder. So, for many, chronic migraine means that they're never going to be pain free. There might be lesser pain days, days where the pain differs, but along with that, it comes brain fog, there comes scalp sensitivity, there's nausea, people get aura, all of these slew of other symptoms. And so it's important to just not view it as a headache because there's more to that and there's more that needs to be treated and understood as part of the migraine.
Looking ahead, what's something that you're hopeful for?
Well, I'm hopeful for just new innovations in the field. I know that migraine is severely understudied and that there's a lot of new research that can be done and projects, whatever clinical testing that they can do. So I'm hopeful that in these next years that there will be new medications or new devices that will be able to support people with migraine.
Now, before we finish, what's one thing that chronic migraines have taught you about yourself?
I think chronic migraines have taught me that I'm stronger than I think. You know, I think anyone with a chronic illness can attest that they go through a lot, whether it's physically, mentally, going through doctor's offices, tests, people around you, changing relationships, everything. There's so much to it. But staying strong, staying brave, it's really a testament to how strong you are.
And finally, we end every Leo Lounge episode with the same question. Complete the sentence, please. I hope somebody listening today remembers that.
I hope someone listening today remembers that you're not alone and there's a community out there that supports and understands you.
Grace, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that while chronic migraines may affect every day of your life, it doesn't define who you are. Your resilience, hope, and willingness to share your journey are what people will remember. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone listening. If today's conversation resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you have a story you'd like to share on the Leo Lounge, we would love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time on the Leo Lounge.